You're listening to the Ordinary Vegan Podcast, where we teach you everything you need to know about adopting a plant-based diet full or part-time. Our goal is to empower you to live a long and healthy life. You can find today's show at ordinaryvegan.net or on iTunes. If you have any questions, please send an email to questions@ordinaryvegan.net.
Hello, friends, and welcome to the Ordinary Vegan Podcast, number 96. Simple vegan swaps for animal ingredients and some delicious vegan recipes. Hope everyone is doing well and taking care of your health. I definitely have been struggling a little and feel like I haven't been as healthy as I should be. So last week I got back on my very strict daily food routine, making sure I had 8 to 16 ounces of hibiscus tea a day and a tablespoon of ground flax seeds for blood pressure, green tea twice a day for antibodies, 2 tablespoons of hemp seeds for heart and overall health. Last but not least, a 1/4 teaspoon of anti-inflammatory turmeric every day. Curcumin is a natural anti-inflammatory compound in turmeric, and it helps your body fight all kinds of foreign invaders because it is a powerful antioxidant which can help you fight all kinds of disease. Curcumin can even help fight depression. I have mentioned this in previous podcasts, but it is worth reminding everyone. Try to include a 1/4 teaspoon of turmeric in your diet every day. And it's not that hard to include. Just add it to some salad dressing, hummus, rice, roasted vegetables, and smoothies. Or make a golden plant-based milk by heating 1.5 cups of unsweetened plant-based milk with 3/4 teaspoon of turmeric and a pinch of cinnamon. And I like to add some maple syrup for sweetness. And of course, I included veggies every day, cruciferous veggies, beans, greens, berries, and whole grains. Zinc is also very important for immunity, so I make sure I include nuts and tofu. I also went back to making a checklist, which helps me picture how I can include all the checklist items in a few meals. And I felt so much better, even after only a few days. I will include a friendly reminder checklist in this week's podcast show notes. I am devoting today's podcast to vegan substitutions because I get a lot of questions about vegan swaps for animal ingredients, and I realize that I've never devoted an entire podcast to the subject. Some of these you might have heard of before, but maybe there'll be a few surprises. And you don't have to be vegan to use these ideas. I don't know about you, but sometimes you get halfway through making something and realize you're out of an ingredient. So these vegan swaps can be helpful for everyone. I want to start with oil. As most of you know, I don't promote using oil, especially anyone with heart disease or weight concerns. This might not count as a vegan swap since many oils are vegan, but they are not healthy. So this is more of a healthy swap, inspired by a new recipe I made. A few weeks ago, I posted a banana bread recipe that got really good reviews, and I thought I would share some of those. This first one is from Karen, who said, quote, "The most amazing banana bread ever. So much better than any other recipe I have followed." And this next review is from Linda. "Delicious. I have never made banana bread before, and I do not bake at all. This was super easy, and I had all the ingredients. I love that it is not super sweet. I added chopped walnuts, and next time I may add some chocolate chips in as well. Thanks for such a great recipe." And last but not least, this is from Martin. "This recipe, and to be honest, all of Nancy's recipes, was so easy to make, and the results are fantastic. I am 4 months into a vegan diet and lifestyle, and Nancy's recipes and podcast have helped me transition into a way of living that has brought me more health and happiness that I would have believed possible. All I can say is thank you. Yikes, that brought tears to my eyes. Thanks, Martin. I really appreciate that, and I appreciate you taking the time to give me feedback. I always appreciate feedback from all of you. The best thing about that banana bread recipe was it was oil-free. I replaced the oil with a 1/4 cup of unsweetened applesauce. When substituting applesauce for oil in baking, the ratio is typically 1-to-1. So if the recipe calls for a 1/4 cup of oil, use a 1/4 cup of applesauce. And when you replace applesauce for oil, look how many calories and fat grams you cut out. A 1/4 cup of vegetable oil is 480 calories and 56 grams of fat. A 1/4 cup of applesauce is 25 calories and 0 grams of fat. Applesauce also adds nutrients and fiber, which have been ripped from the plant oil during processing. Make sure you use plain applesauce with no flavorings. Since we're talking about that delicious banana bread, let's go into Ordinary Vegan's kitchen and make that super moist and oil-free banana bread. For the dry ingredients, combine 1 3/4 cups of flour of your choice, a 1/3 cup of vegan sugar, a 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda, 2 teaspoons of baking powder, and a pinch of salt. In another bowl, combine the wet ingredients, a 1/3 cup of non-flavored applesauce, 1 teaspoon of pure vanilla extract, 3 large, very ripe bananas, and I mean very ripe, which equals about 2 cups mashed, and 2 tablespoons of non-sweetened plant milk like almond, oat, or soy. Optional ingredients include a 1/2 cup of chopped walnuts. Preheat the oven to 350 degrees. Sift together the dry ingredients and mash together all the wet ingredients with a potato masher, fork, or even your hands. Combine the wet ingredients with the dry ingredients and mix well until the flour is combined. And please try not to overmix. Add more plant milk if needed, but only a tablespoon at a time. The batter will be thick and slightly lumpy. Pour the batter into a greased 9x5 loaf pan and bake for 50 to 55 minutes or until a toothpick inserted is dry. I know it's going to be hard, but let that banana bread cool for 30 minutes before slicing. I like to individually wrap slices, freeze, and take them out for a quick, healthy snack. This recipe will be in today's show notes. Speaking of mashed bananas, other oil replacements in baking can be mashed bananas, pureed dates, or nut butter. You can also roast without oil by drizzling vegetables with vegetable stock, lemon juice, or balsamic vinegar, and seasoning them with your favorite herbs and spices like garlic powder and paprika. You can saute or stir-fry your vegetables without using oil by using small amounts of water or broth to saute, 1 to 2 tablespoons. If you keep adding small amounts, you can brown the food without steaming it. Another oil replacer, depending on what you are making, is mashed avocado. Avocado contains fat, but it's the healthy, unsaturated kind. The next vegan swap is for whipped cream or meringue using aquafaba liquid. Aquafaba is the liquid left over from cooked chickpeas, and you can obtain it in 2 ways. The easy way is to drain a can of chickpeas and reserve the liquid. Or cook your own chickpeas and reserve the leftover cooking liquid. But I prefer the reserved liquid from canned chickpeas because sometimes when you cook your own, the leftover cooking liquid is too thin and you have to boil it to thicken it up. So the canned liquid is a time saver too. All you have to do is whip the aquafaba with a hand or stand mixer. Whisking it by hand just takes too long. Whipping aquafaba takes approximately 3 to 6 minutes to get semi-firm peaks. You can also throw in some cream of tartar, which, just like egg whites, causes the aquafaba to whip up faster and makes the peaks firmer. Aquafaba whipped can be made into many things, like whipped cream or meringues by adding sugar. You can also add the whipped aquafaba to pancakes or baked goods to make them more fluffy, or when a recipe is calling for egg whites. One 15-ounce can of chickpeas yields about a half a cup of aquafaba liquid, which whips up to about 2 to 3 cups of whipped cream. Aquafaba can also be used as an egg substitute. When you use it this way, you don't have to whip it. The conversion is 3 tablespoons of liquid aquafaba to replace 1 egg. By the way, there is no residual bean taste or smell. Even if you are not vegan, this is a great egg replacer for anyone with egg allergies. Speaking of egg replacements, my favorite vegan swap for eggs besides aquafaba is ground flax seeds. All you do is whisk 1 tablespoon of ground flaxseed with 2.5 tablespoons of water. Leave it in the refrigerator for 10 minutes and add it to recipes in place of 1 egg. One of the most challenging parts of not using eggs is when you need a binder. For example, veggie burgers need a binder to hold them together. It is the glue that makes the patty's ingredients stick. I often use aquafaba or ground flax eggs, but sometimes I use mashed avocado as a binder. The mashed avocado not only adds the moisture, but it also adds some healthy fat that makes the vegan burgers more satiating. Often, I will make some quick black bean veggie burgers by combining a can of rinsed, lightly dried black beans with 6 tablespoons of rolled oats, 1 can chipotle in adobo, and a 1/4 cup of mashed ripe avocado. Then I'll add maybe a 1/4 teaspoon of salt, pepper, and cumin. And if you happen to have some fresh cilantro, you can also add a small handful of that. I put all those ingredients in a food processor and process until the mixture comes all together. Then I shape them into about 3 patties. You can bake them at 375 for 15 minutes on each side, but I much prefer frying them in a skillet for 3 to 4 minutes on each side until browned. I like to serve them with red onion and lettuce for crunch, and if I have some lime, I squeeze a little lime juice over them. You could also make a quick chipotle mayo by combining a 1/4 cup of vegan mayo with a teaspoon or 2 of the spicy, smoky adobo sauce from the can. Then squeeze some lime juice in. I am always trying to find ways to use that leftover adobo sauce because I dislike wasting food, as I'm sure you do too. Creamy, ripe avocado can be used as a binder in any vegan burger. And not only does it bind together the patties, you can use the leftover as garnish. Speaking of delicious vegan swaps, I would like to thank this week's podcast sponsor, Forager Project. I was very excited to hear that Forager wanted to host this podcast because I use their organic, dairy-free sour cream all the time, and I love it. I use it on top of chili, baked potatoes, and salad dressings. The list goes on and on. But let me tell you a little bit about Forager. Forager Project is family-owned and operated and crafts 100% organic dairy-free yogurts, kefirs, milks, and sour cream using their hero ingredient, organic cashews, which makes the creamiest, most delicious base for all their products. And only for our podcast listeners, Forager is offering a limited offer coupon for a free cup of yogurt at www.foragerproject.com/cultivatehealth. That is FORAGERPROJECT.com/cultivatehealth. And while you're there, check out the hundreds of delicious dairy-free and easy-to-make recipes on their website. Thank you, Forager Project. Our next vegan swap revolves around nuts and seeds. Let's start with cashews. Cashews can add creaminess to practically all sauces instead of cream. All you need to do is soak the nuts overnight for creaminess and then blend them with your favorite spices. You can create nearly any sauce you are hoping for. A less expensive way to make sauces is to replace the cashews with silken tofu or inexpensive sunflower seeds, which work really well if you have a nut allergy. Much like tofu, sunflower seeds are neutral in taste and will soak up the seasonings and flavors you add to them. A basic sunflower pasta Alfredo sauce recipe is 1 cup of sunflower seeds that has been soaked overnight, rinsed, and added to a food blender with 1.5 cups of water, 1/4 cup of nutritional yeast, juice of 1 lemon, a garlic clove, salt, and ground black pepper to taste. You blend that until it's smooth, adding more water if necessary. Combine with a little pasta and a ton of veggies. At any rate, you start with the cup of sunflower seeds and water and blend with any spices or ingredients you want. If there is a cream sauce you love, try substituting cashews, sunflower seeds, or tofu. I think you will love this vegan substitute. The next vegan substitute I want to mention is gelatin. Gelatin is a clear, tasteless protein that thickens and solidifies liquid and semi-liquid foods, such as soups, marshmallows, and old-fashioned Jell-O molds. Gelatin is mostly associated with Jell-O brand products. The downside of gelatin is it comes from animal skin or bone. Gelatin is also commonly used in gel caps and supplements. Vegetable capsules, which I use in my CBD capsules, are much harder to find because vegetable capsules are much more costly. Not only are gelatin capsules made from animals, but they can also cause bloating, heartburn, belching, and a feeling of heaviness in the stomach. Make sure you read the labels of your supplements and make sure you are taking vegetable capsules and not gelatin. The vegan swap for gelatin is agar, A-G-A-R, which is cooked or pressed algae. Replace 1 teaspoon of gelatin with 1 teaspoon of agar powder. The last vegan swap I want to mention today is coffee creamer. I often hear from people who ask me, what should they replace their creamer with? I had no idea so many people used creamer, but I am happy to say there are many dairy-free creamers available. Also, many companies are making shelf-stable, not requiring refrigeration until opened, vegan creamers. These are perfect for the office or any group settings, which hopefully we are all getting back to soon. That is it for today's podcast. You can find today's recipes in this week's show notes. As always, thank you so much for being here and spending your valuable time with me. Please keep those emails and messages coming. I love to hear from you, and you always inspire me to work harder and better serve you. Thank you to Forager Project for sponsoring this week's podcast. I will have a link to their free offer in this week's show notes. For recipes and inspiration, please follow me on Instagram and Facebook. You can find my cookbook, the Easy 5-Ingredient Vegan Cookbook, on my website, ordinaryvegan.net, or on Amazon. Many people in the wellness world are turning to cannabidiol, commonly referred to as CBD oil from hemp, for a variety of ailments. According to the American Sleep Association, CBD from hemp may decrease anxiety and pain, which can both interfere with restful sleep. If you have any questions, email me at questions@ordinaryvegan.net. Please stay safe and stay well. Till next time.
Thanks for joining our plant-based community today. Together, we can accomplish great things. Please subscribe so you don't miss any of Ordinary Vegan's recipes and plant-based tips. If you have any questions or feedback, email us at questions@ordinaryvegan.net. Until next time.